sis and tell, a whole lot of talk, a whole lot of nothing. Amanda does stand up, Alison's on TV, and when they hop on the phone, you already know it's the place you wanna be. Sis and tell, the podcast that's so sweet. Oh, sis and tell, sis and tell, a whole lot of talk about, a whole lot of nothing. Sis and tell.
Hey, Allie.
Hey, man, what's going on?
Just, I'm skating off the high from doing comedy last night.
Nice.
I went from having to take a nap right before the show to not being able to go to bed, right? It's 1 a.m. and I felt wide awake because I get this natural high from performing.
Isn't it exhausting also? I feel like when I speak, I get very revved up and I have this adrenaline rush before I speak. And then after, it's a total come down crash. It's like I've had an afternoon eating sugar and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that was not a good idea. Except
No.
I don't have regret after.
No, it's the opposite. It is total. I mean, I could do 5 more shows afterwards. I get very energized and I'm wide awake. It's better than caffeine.
Do you think of more material? That is that when you can start crafting new bits after you've done a bit?
No. I mean, I guess it depends if something has inspired me from the show. But I would usually sometimes as I'm performing, I'll come up with new material and I'll just tag. I'll come up with a new tag and I'll just say it. That's how my writing evolves, is as I'm performing.
That's good. The spontaneity of it.
Spontaneity.
Well, I'm coming off of a weekend trying out empty nesting. We had a practice run.
Oh, where did Levi go?
It was fun. So Levi went to Nashville to go hang out with some camp friends and go to a music festival. And of course, our other 2 boys are back in college. And so Alan and I are like, hey, we're empty nesting. And this is kind of fun. So it's really weird when you are not responsible for anyone else's schedule or happiness or safety, except your own. The first thing I did, which I never do, because, we typically have, especially pre-COVID, but a house full of teenagers over for Shabbat dinner Friday night, but it was only me and Alan. And I ran into a friend of mine on Friday afternoon and I'm like, hey, what are y'all doing this weekend? She's like, nothing. What do you do this weekend? I'm like, nothing. And all of a sudden I'm like,
together.
And I know Alan, we both love them, when you find a couple that you love.
Oh,
and I was like, well, you want to come for dinner? And it was this is probably 3 p.m. for a Friday. And she's like, yeah, I mean, let me ask my husband. And then she paused. She goes, I mean, I don't have to ask my husband. I'm just going to tell him we're going to dinner. He'll be so happy. And so I'm like, this is very exciting. Except then I had to clean out the kitchen, which, is never very fun. But so that was fun to do a little spontaneous Shabbat couples dinner, which doesn't ever happen.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Were you naked all weekend? Because you're a naked person.
No, I'm not really a naked person.
You sleep naked. Do you still sleep naked?
I don't sleep naked. Wow, you're telling, this is very inappropriate. I might have to cut all this out.
No.
I do not sleep. I sleep the opposite. In fact, I'm so hot natured, but I have to sleep. I sleep in sweatpants or yoga pants and a t-shirt. We've discussed this, I think. I've always slept in an old t-shirt. That's what keeps me comfortable. And I realized this memory came back to me a few years ago. I used to always sleep in one of Daddy's old t-shirts. So he had that dresser where he kept all of his, old t-shirts. And I would come down every night before bed and I would just grab one. And I don't know if he knew it and liked it or didn't care or gave up trying. I don't think he really cared. I think he probably enjoyed it. But I always slept, and I think that's what I find comfort in. It's funny you say that, though, because Arthur, I think, said, to us right before he went back to college, oh, in a year, you and Daddy are going to be empty nesters. And I go, yes, we are. He goes, so what are you going to do? I think everybody thinks we're waiting for that house to be empty.
Right.
I said, we are going to run around naked all the time and smoke pot. That's what we're going to do.
Eat cereal for dinner.
Right. He goes, you are? I said, no. I said, we're going to eat cereal for dinner, binge watch Netflix shows, and we're going to go to bed at 8:30 every night, which is what we're dying to do now. And Alan goes, 8:25. I go, okay, 8:25. So, I mean, so what else we do? So we had dinner, spontaneous couples dinner. That was fun. We went hiking. We did this 3-hour hike, which was really fun in Dayton, Tennessee, which it really has all of these finds. Oh, and I'll tell you about the find I had. Then we had dinner, scheduled dinner with some friends Saturday night, and then Sunday we kind of did all sorts of stuff. So it was fun. It was fun. I was like, all right, that was enough. That's Levi.
What do you think
you can
Mommy
come
and
back.
Daddy did when I left? Because I was the empty
were the
nester
caboose.
child. I was
Yeah.
the caboose. Yeah.
I don't know if they were both working full time.
Right.
So they were both, on these schedules. They probably,
I think it's
and you were
fucking cereal.
driving the last 2 years. Once I think
Right.
your kids start driving and have that independence, you worry less. I don't know.
Or
I,
you
I
worry
don't
more. I
imagine.
don't know.
Here's what I know. Here's what I know is what I don't know. Is what we assume Mommy and Daddy just sort of had this very traditional conservative lifestyle. But who knows?
Right. And not to be confused with politically conservative.
No,
I
no.
have to put that out there.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
just more like.
Oh, I don't want to know. Stop talking.
No, I don't want to know. So anyway,
Speaking of which, do you know about the pineapple? Do you know what pineapples mean?
I think I know what eggplants emojis mean, but is that
Yes.
that's not
Kind of related. No, this
Okay.
isn't. I'm sure you could use it as an emoji. If you pass a house and it's supposed to be an upside down pineapple, that means that couple swings.
what?
Yes. So now that means like we're swingers.
No, I'm not shocked about the swinging as much as that you can put a pineapple upside down and it'll stay there.
Not a real pineapple, like decor.
Oh.
But apparently, I think the pineapple has to be upside down. It may just be pineapple decor, but I think it's upside down pineapple.
How do you know this? Who told you this?
Well, my friends and I were joking about it. Like someone heard it as a rumor, and then I Googled it, and that's Google told me.
About the upside down pineapple.
Yeah.
And how do you think pineapple, an upside down one at that, became the universal, or maybe it's not universal, maybe it's just in the States, but the symbol for swinging? What is it about a pineapple?
Is it something about pineapple upside down cake? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's not like it's an aphrodisiac.
Oh, it's prickly on the outside, sweet on the inside. But that's what a cactus is too. So why
That's
did they
what-
not use a cactus?
I don't know. That's what happens to your relationship after. I don't know.
I don't even know how you got down that rabbit hole.
Well, you started saying mommy and daddy led.
Well,
a
I was not
conservative
insinuating
life.
they've got pineapples on their door frames. So
No, now mommy's like horrified now if she listens.
although
to
that
this.
that pineapple shaped mezuzah always had me
What
intrigued.
did that mean?
What is
Mommy's
that?
always wearing pineapple earrings too. Did that mean anything?
I know. All right, so the most fun part, well, the hike was the most fun part, but coming back from the hike was fun because on the way there we had passed all of these small antique shops. And I don't know if you also love going into those little small
Like
antique
flea
shops.
market, like flea markety ones, like very local.
Very local, exactly.
Half junk store, but half like I could find something really good in here.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Where you know that this is a real find. This is not like 75 booths that people have set up.
Loft, yes.
Right, and
yeah.
it's a curated type of
right,
store.
curated. That's what I meant.
Yeah, these were a series of, there was one a little larger, and then there were these two cute little houses. And I said to Alan, oh, we are so stopping there on the way back. And he said, why? So you can get more stuff to put around the house. We have no more room. I said, okay, then I'm going to clean out the stuff I have now, and I'm going to make room for new stuff. How about that? He didn't like that either. But the whole reason I did this was because the week before I had found like a Facebook post that someone said, hey, if you find all of these vintage Corningware or, stoneware, then
I saw this post.
Did you see this? You should buy them. And that way, when you bring dinner or something over to someone, you give it to them in that, and then they also can keep the dish. And I thought that was adorable. So my friend Monique, is like excellent at that. She's always the first. If somebody is sick, somebody had a baby, somebody's going out of town, whatever it is, she's the first to bring over like a 5-course meal and is a fabulous cook. So I immediately take a screenshot. I'm like, Monique, this made me think of you. And she goes, well, these are very sought after, because she also likes to antique.
It's
She
the
goes,
Nana. Nana had all those. It's
Yeah.
the white. It's like the white Corningware with the blue flowers on them.
that's exactly it. And Monique goes, these are very sought after and they're expensive. They're not like, I'm not sure it's something you buy and then you actually want to give away because they've gotten very expensive. I'm like, you're kidding me. She goes, yeah, but if you find them, you buy them for me too. I said, okay. So of course I said to Alan, I am on a mission, and it's good. I don't love shopping in general if not just browsing, but if I need something, I'm very focused and I get very excited. So I knew I'm looking for not only the stoneware, but to your point, the Corningware, the white with the blue. I walk into the shop. I go into the first little booth. It's all kitchen supplies. And what do I see? Corningware. Not a ton.
How much was it?
So let me tell you what I found. So I found 2 little casserole dishes, sort of, I don't know, maybe a quart or a quart and a half. So a good size. And then a mini one that was like, a cute little thing that you could serve a little side dish in. Then I found, it looks like a saucepan. So it's white with a handle and it had the top to it. And a Corningware coffee pot, which was very exciting.
Did you get all of that?
She sold me all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces for $48.
Okay.
Which is pretty good. I mean,
that's doable.
Monique had said like she saw some of these going for like $70 for a piece.
How much are they on eBay? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to check. Well, I did check because I was interested in the coffee pot because apparently you can really make coffee in it, except the one I bought has a stainless steel rim and it was recalled in like 1979 because the rim falls off. Yeah.
Oh.
No, because anyway. So I'm not going to make coffee out of it, but I did think I could just take off the coffee pot and make it into a flower pot in Mommy's room, Mommy and Daddy's room, which is, a blue and white theme. But I was very excited. And it just made me think, Mommy instilled that in us, I think, to find someone else's trash as another person's treasure. And so that was very exciting. I'm trying to think of what else I can buy as I get rid of the other junk in my house and start over.
Oh, those places, I have to say, I don't like shopping.
Yeah.
I don't like shopping, and I go into those places, and it's just overwhelming to me. Like I need, I guess it's better when you have like a goal in mind, but we grew up in retail, and to me, it was like, just like walking around with the president of the United States going into retail stores, and we had to like put our beauty pageant faces on and wave at people and have conversations. And when you're going through teenage angst, that's like the last thing you want to do.
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny. So. I don't like shopping either. But targeted shopping I'm okay with. And small. That's why I like shopping at smaller stores and not huge stores. Although I say that and I do love like Target and Bed Bath & Beyond. So maybe I just can't put myself in a box. I just have to be in the mood for the right store at the right time.
Yeah. I like grocery shopping. That's what
I've been still doing a lot of Trader Joe's shopping. It's still very exciting.
Yeah, not when I'm hungry. That's like always a mistake.
Yeah. So I started a new show and I've become
like watching a new show, or you're in a new show?
I'm not in a new show. I watched a new show and I'm already done with the new show because that's part of my empty nesting was having a lot of free time. So I was able to binge that all weekend. It's only 2 seasons, and each season only has 6 episodes, to put it into context. You may have seen it. It's on Netflix, and it's called Love on the Spectrum.
So, is it a porn? Just joking. I know it. It's like people.
There's lots of pineapples.
It's like a dating show about people who have autism, right?
Right. So it is actually they don't necessarily say autism anymore. They do use that word, but they also say ASD, which is autism spectrum disorder.
Yeah.
Which is hence the term spectrum.
That feels like an old term also, because I have a friend, my friend has autism, and he would not call it a disorder. Right?
Oh, right.
Yeah, it feels like a very outdated term.
Okay. Well, I will say I just take my cues from people who are actually navigating that space, and happy to say I just think everyone has different abilities, and including me, right? Nobody is normal or perfect, so I kind of had seen the show, like it kept coming up in my.
I've seen clips.
Maybe you want to watch this. Oh, I didn't even see clips on TikTok, but it wasn't something I was like, oh, I'm dying to watch this, but I was like, let me see what it's about. I'm always willing to give something 1 or 2 episodes, and I will tell you, I immediately became enthralled and evangelical about this show. It is so incredible to see the lives of these, I want to say characters, but really just people. This takes place in Australia. So
Yeah.
I love the accents.
I love the accent. Are
And
there wallabies?
there were no wallabies, no koalas, no kangaroos.
What is that other? Wombats. I'm
No.
obsessed with Do you know what a wombat is?
No.
It looks like the creature from Lilo and Stitch. And it's just this chubby muscle, and they dig, and they have these giant bellies, and they're like, they're like a fat
Like a groundhog?
Yeah, but like a fat groundhog, like a really big fat groundhog. They're
I think
so
the groundhogs
cute.
listening would say thank you. They didn't realize they were so svelte.
Right. I didn't know I was like an in shape.
I didn't know there was a fat version of me.
So, anyways, back to Love on the Spectrum.
Well, it takes you back to at least my dating life, where I went on a lot of blind dates. And I think even for the neurotypical, as they would say, it is a challenging time, right, to figure out who you like and what do you talk about. And they had a social coach throughout who was helping a lot of these. And they were anywhere from maybe 20 or 21 years old to 30 years old. And some of them, especially some of the men, were so determined to find love. And the way they articulated it was so heartwarming. It was so honest. It was so incredible. And, I've done a youth group for 21 years. And so we've had tons of kids who have all abilities. And so it just reminded me of a lot of the personalities of some of the teens that I've worked with, and how much I appreciate their lack of filter in a positive way. I always say I have no filter, but they really just say what they mean. And so they'd be on a date and say, I think this is going well, right?
Yeah.
All right. Or I think this is going, what do you think? I think it's going well. Well, should we be friends or romantic? And they'd go, just friends. Okay, good to know. Thank you. And they would, even if they didn't have a connection.
Refreshing.
I know. They call each other to say, I really enjoyed our date, but to be honest, I don't see this going any further. Are you okay with that? Yes, I am okay with that. Thank you. Goodbye. I mean, I said, why can't people, I think everybody in the dating world should be mandated to watch this show and take lessons and notes from the way that these young people not only respectfully interact with each other, but also respectfully sort of cut the ties if it's not working nobody's ghosting. Not one person was ghosting anybody else. And it was
just being upfront.
I know. I laughed. I cried.
But also, I wish people could do that with like friendships too, which I think more people would get their feelings hurt. But like if anyone's too drama, I would be like, okay, I don't think this is really working out anymore.
Right. Right.
And I have been watching, it's not a new reality show, but it's a new version of it for me, and it's The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, which
talk about love on the spectrum. You've just gone from one side of my spectrum to the other. So
look, I know they set up these situations. The producers will set up situations, but these women are who they are, right? And they cast characters who some have more healthier mental health than others. But the women interacting with each other, it's so like high maintenance friendships. I don't know how they stay in it.
But don't you think this is mostly scripted? It's like scripted reality TV.
Look, they're forcing them to go out to dinner with each other and to like go on vacation with each other. Absolutely. But some of these friendships were already established before the show started. So, they talk about like the history they have with each other. And this one woman who's like afraid to engage with this woman and give her, probably advice that she needs because she doesn't want to get on her bad side. Like she's afraid of her friend. Like
and yet she's on a reality show with her?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these are, look, and I also think there is something unethical with the producers putting on some women on any reality show, men or women, that have mental health challenges, and putting them in this situation is worsening it.
Right. Exploiting that.
Exploiting
for entertainment value instead of looking out for their mental health.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes. And I'm sure they give them psychological evaluations.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, yeah, awesome. They've got issues.
Yeah.
This is going to make for good television.
All right. So to compare that scenario to Love on the Spectrum, if I can, that's also refreshing, is because a lot of these young people deal with a lot of mental health challenges. A lot of them have anxiety and have panic attacks, have just moments where they sort of zone out, and they're just totally upfront about it. Like one woman in the middle of her date, she came back and said, "I'm so sorry. I don't know what the trigger was. I can feel a panic attack coming on and I need to leave." And they're like, "Okay." And you can hear the producers and the camera people the whole time. Unlike a lot of reality shows where you never break that, what's it called? The fourth wall. So you never break the fourth, the fifth. You don't break any walls. Don't break any walls.
It's a sukkah. It's like a sukkah.
It is.
Right?
The Love on the Spectrum is like a sukkah where all the walls are open and you can hear them constantly saying, "Are you okay?" and interacting. And there's really this level of care. So they're very open about it, which I think, if we're talking about mental health in general, that's a stigma that people just need to eliminate in our lives. Because I always say, we crowdsource everything. If we need a new dishwasher, we're on the internet. If God forbid somebody is having a surgery or something to do with their heart or cancer or anything in terms of our physical health, we're crowdsourcing. But when it comes to mental health, I think there's still this idea that we have to keep it close to chest. And I think so many people in our world, right, and that we know, go through a lot. And I think the more we can discuss it and be open about it, the more people realize that everybody is struggling with something.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. So this awkward relationships, be it friendship or romantic, made me think of this guy I used to work with who always like a super sweet guy, but very awkward in front of women. Like didn't know how to act, and he would invite new employees out to lunch with him in a way that made them think that they were going out with a group of people, and it would end up just being him.
Oh.
But he was so like nice and quirky that no one was like creeped out by him. It was more like, oh, wah wah. That happened.
Right.
Right. It's almost like like if you had a friend and their little brother had a crush on you.
Right.
Right. It was like that sort
Totally
of
innocent.
Totally
awkward
innocent.
but innocent. Right.
Awkward but innocent. And just like always like a super nice guy. He was also really, really good at proofreading. Like, so I worked on a lot of projects where we needed a proofreader. And so we brought him in from this other department to proofread everything.
Not to tout my own horn right now, but I am also awkward and excellent at proofreading. So just there may be a theme going on with the people in your life. Yeah.
He had great attention to he would find things. It would be like an extra space that no one saw, right? Or he would double check things. Are you sure this is right? Yes. Okay. I saw that the legal line on this was that, and this is that. Are you, like he caught everything.
I love that.
And so, one time we're working on this project, and he came out with this printout and of like our DVD menus, and pointed to this word and was like, "Amanda, I don't know what this word is." And he's pointing to it, and I'm like, "You don't?" He goes, "Yes, titling. What is titling? I just don't even know that word. Is that right?" And Alison, what word is he saying?
Is he saying titling?
He's saying titling. But it was so funny because he was like always staring at people's boobs. Which I know is a little creepy. I know is creepy,
Yeah.
but it was like, and it was so funny. And I didn't tell anyone except for now on the podcast. But I'm
Right.
not saying his name, but it was like, and he was so, like, he caught everything, and all he could see in this word was tit. It was,
He goes, and I've never heard it before, but I don't think it's appropriate for publication.
I just don't think titling is a word.
Oh my gosh. When you told him what it was he like, okay.
Yes. I go, titling, and he's like, all right. Yeah.
That would be
make
it.
that would
be it.
make a lot more sense. He's like, oh man. And in reality, all he saw were tits,
Oh gosh, sorry to our PG-13 audience. I'm not sure
Right.
if that qualifies as appropriate, but I'm
That's
just gonna
clean.
leave it
Aw.
in. I'm just gonna leave it in.
So last night during comedy, so I told all the comedians we had to do clean or clean-ish. I'm like, you can talk about sex, just don't get
Oh,
graphic.
so you organized the whole
Yeah,
event. Okay.
yes, I helped produce it, and then I booked all the comedians, and it was outdoors, right, in this community garden. But it was, it started around 8, which meant like there could be people out. I didn't know how far sound would travel, so I was like, on the safe side, let's just keep it clean. And then I go to end. I go to end my set and I start telling this joke. And as I'm telling it, I'm realizing
It's not in that category.
It's
Oh,
not
no.
clean. And I was like, and so I had to say, oh, and I got like 5 seconds into it. And then so I was like, oh, I'm realizing this is not a clean joke. And then everyone's like, tell it. So I'm like, all right.
I'll break my own rule because I'm in
All
charge.
right, I'll just do it, right? So I really broke the seal on that one. But then I went to go check like our neighborhood Facebook page afterwards just to make sure people were not complaining about it. And no one was, so we were good. We ended up being good because, man, that sound did travel. It did travel.
So I don't understand. Were you in a public park and people could randomly come up and listen, or not really?
So not it was the Oakhurst Garden, which is a community garden. It's a nonprofit, and these 2 Jewish organizations built a sukkah there, which is God, the Jewish holidays are weird.
It's
like,
the Festival of the Harvest, and this is a 4-legged structure that must be open at least on one side, and you can see through the ceiling.
It's a harvest hut.
It's
like
a
you're
hut.
supposed to eat inside the hut.
Yes.
It's not just a structure. Because
I love
also,
Sukkot. Yeah.
I love Sukkot. Yeah, and the like eating in the sukkah. It's like a temporary structure that you eat under. So it was like 10 by 20, and we did the show in it. So I mean, I guess people could have walked up, but that's not really what happened. And we did sell out, and we had some walk-ups, but it wasn't like it was so far into the garden that people didn't know what was going on. They could probably just hear us.
I love that, though.
Yeah, there was a cat attending, like some feral cat was like in the show. It was.
Well, the funniest thing is we had an event last night that was also outside under a tent, and we also had a comedian. And one of the funny things he said, he started by saying, never a good start for a comedian when you literally hear crickets. So that was funny.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, this was I think a lot of people had not gotten out yet. Like this was like their first live event to attend, and people they just want to laugh right now.
Yeah.
So I did really well last
You are
night.
funnier than you've ever been before, Amanda. That's more on me than you.
Yeah. And I told, I was trying to explain to someone who does general audience shows. Like I do a lot of shows for the Jewish community that I'd done one show and Mommy had gotten not upset, but
but disappointed.
Disappointed of my use of a word of the word pubic, right? She thought it was like super inappropriate for a show for the Jewish Federation, and
yeah, this was in Chattanooga, right?
Yeah, and I mean, look, I do that joke everywhere.
It's the best joke.
So
it is the best joke. Okay,
literally,
can you tell it? Can you tell it for the people in the back who haven't heard it?
Say, you know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to send you the recording from that show because there's like literally 20 seconds of laughter. I counted it once just because my ego needed some stroking, and I took that. I have it. I'm going to send it to you because I played the clip.
Okay, so we'll play it. So let's play it right now so everybody can hear the authentic version of that joke, which is really one of my favorite jokes.
Alice and I, growing up, and especially now, everyone always thinks that we're twins, except her hair is more straight, and my hair is like more pubic. See a lot of hair twins in the audience. Yeah.
I mean, it never gets unfunny. It only gets funnier. It is a great joke. And not just because you mentioned your sister, but because it is funny. So go back to Mommy, upset
People
about
know
that
what's
word.
Coming. People start sometimes laughing before I even get to what I'm going to say about my hair. But yeah, so mommy was like, I just don't know if you should say the word pubic. It's dirty. This is for the Federation. But what she doesn't know is that without fail, after I do a show geared towards a Jewish audience, there is some elderly man in his like 70s or 80s that comes up to me and tells me a joke that's 5 times dirtier than anything that I've said.
Yeah.
That
I believe it. Then he says, hey, and if you want to come over for coffee, I'm the house on the corner with the upside down pineapple.
Right.
My favorite part is after you did that, it was either right before that set or after, and mommy and daddy came to Chattanooga, and I remember being at lunch and mommy trying to have a very subtle intervention about, we'll call it a pubic vention, to try to get you to, it sounds, out of context, it sounds way grosser than it is, but trying to get you to use an alternative word. And I remember sitting around the table thinking of an appropriate and equally funny synonym to the word pubic. And I will tell you, if there's anybody out there who can think of equally funny and appropriate synonym for the word pubic that works in the joke, please share, because we were at a total loss.
Yeah, you know what? We were also always taught to use like the real word for body parts.
Yeah.
It's not like, I can't stand it when you hear parents coming up with different like weird words for penis and vagina or pee-pee and, going to the bathroom. In fact, mommy would use words for the bathroom that embarrassed me, and they were the medical terms.
Right.
Like
BM. I know.
Two initials in the world.
I don't know about you, but whenever I'm doing a quick text to somebody about someone's bar or bat mitzvah, it is very uncomfortable because I'm like, well, I was just at Ezra's BM. Ooh, not really. Not the other kind.
Do you need to BM?
Yes. Do you feel like you need to urinate? I don't think she ever said that.
Oh my God. But Mimi used to say pish.
Pish is a good word.
Which sounds a little
because
Yiddish.
It is, because you're thinking of pisher, like he's a little pisher.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean he's peeing, it just means he's a little rascal. So.
Yes. So. Well, thanks for listening to the latest Sis and Tell podcast. Do you have a conundrum or query you'd like to share with us? We can give you some sisterly advice next time. Just send your questions to sisters@sisandtell.com.
As always, this has been Amanda and Alison with a whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing. We'll catch you next time.